Hello. And if we can, should we take the roll call first and then do the pledge?
Yes, let's do that.
All right.
So this is the, what's today's date? Monday, October 7th,
Seventh.
2024 meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission, the Village of Bassnang. And we'll take roll. Catherine Wilson. Here. Jason Sia.
Here.
Michael Bavino.
Here.
And Chair Garbowitz.
Here,
Great.
yes,
Pledge.
yes. and do the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So shall we begin with the HBC 11-2024, 159 Main Street? And if you would please, for the record, identify yourself, and everybody can turn on their mics. If you haven't turned on your mic. I don't know if these are working, Patty.
So they may or may not be, but everyone can hear you at home. We practiced this earlier through the webcam mic.
Leave them on anyway, so you can see.
Jimmy can probably say it was tough hit.
Yeah, this whole virtual meeting thing is a lot of work.
All right, so obviously
Okay.
for the record, identify yourself.
Jimmy
please.
Hernandez, ARQ. This is a project, actually, we were here in front of you with the prior tenant that we switched at the same place, same
Yeah.
kind of store, but it's just a different tenant.
Mhm.
And it's just the front, we're gonna. That's just the existing neighborhood signs. This is the prior one, the name was Picado since.
Yeah.
This is Cultures Lounge.
What happened?
Huh?
What happened?
It's they just got a tenant.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just curious, what's Culture Lounge gonna be? Is it a bar or,
It's gonna be, it's more like a family place.
oh,
It has a little bit of everything,
oh,
so.
okay, a
Aren't
restaurant.
they gonna have like doors that open out? They're gonna have like frozen yogurt?
Yes,
I was so
yes,
excited.
yeah.
I mean,
So.
the other place or this place?
Picado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same idea.
Oh, all right.
So what we're doing with the sign that is now backlit,
Uh-huh.
so we're gonna have almost like Dogas and that side of the Main Street has, we're gonna have indirect lighting. It's a black sign. And then we're just changing the window trim and the glass.
And are you painting the sign band too and repainting because the gray looks very different if you go down to the existing, yeah.
Yes,
I forgot, you had paint on the prior application, or maybe
yes,
you
we
did.
have paint as well.
So was that color gray that was on the prior?
No, it was a little bit trying to stay with the blue before. So now
Right.
we're using the gray.
Oh, so it's not just for that, so also change the color that had been approved.
Yeah,
All right,
I don't. I
I
can't
thought you
remember.
had,
I don't think we ever got to the approval. I think when it was coming back. I don't know.
I thought we
got
had,
an approval for
no,
this?
I think you got signed off on it all.
I think there were.
This is the one where they changed the getting rid of the reset door and bringing it up
Yeah.
flush?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that got approvals, but then there was the sign ended up being a
Oh,
backlit
yes.
sign, and then you guys were gonna come back for that, but then you
Yes.
decided to just unplug it, I think. Was
Yes.
the-
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
So if we didn't approve the backlit sign, you want one though for cultures?
No, we're not asking for a back.
Oh, I thought you said you were happy.
No,
All right. Okay, so now that's the new color for everything. And that's black. What is that,
black trim, black and white.
is it aluminum, anodized aluminum black door frame? Is that
Yeah.
what that is?
Mhm.
Colored glass with black frame. So the frame is anodized, black anodized aluminum. Okay. All right. Can you go back to the proposed front elevation?
Sure can.
Yeah, right there. Okay, so that's basically the scope we're talking about.
Yes.
And, all right,
So this, I'm relatively new, so this
Yeah.
board previously approved omitting the recess and that particular door style and door front?
Yes,
Yeah, they originally wanted more, Michael, than you see the KO. Originally, that whole door was gonna be, as I recall, filled up with a logo. And then they were gonna have a logo between the two upper windows, as I recall, and that was turned down. So that's where we got, and the left side of the project where the cultures is, was not really ever part of any submission. As I recall.
no,
No. So, so this is, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's just like starting over again. Here it is. You know, it's a dark gray. Is that pretty faithful, Jamie, to what it's gonna be, that colored gray?
yes, I mean, we can give you a sample of that.
No. All right, and, it's all, and none of it's contrast, you know, sort of like brackets in the sign banner, whatever you wanna call them. That's gonna be the same color as the band, right? Or is that right? In other words,
As you go,
the brackets, the vertical brackets in the sign band. Next, they're,
Patty, can you scroll?
Yep.
yeah. So they'll be contrasting, you'll be white, and the band will be gray. Hi.
Are you here for the HPC meeting?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
for the quarters.
oh, yeah,
Oh.
you said.
Yeah.
Uh,
No worries.
Ready to join?
I just thought we had a friend.
Well, maybe, you know, you've got a new member in the making here. All right. So, I don't have any questions, and I'll certainly open to hearing any comments from the board.
Quick question, so is it gonna remain as the recessed front door and all that, or is it gonna go back to the flush?
Flash,
Oh, it's staying flush,
yes, yes,
so it's not gonna be a step back into as it is currently?
no,
Okay, so it is gonna come forward?
yes.
Got it.
I'm sorry, yeah, I thought you were asking me, Jason, if we change it from the original.
Can we make it a note in the C of O that, you know, or C of A, excuse me, that there's no change to prior approved KO or KD entry? Sure. Other than the color of the paint.
I have a question about
Sure.
paint.
Yes,
So you're suggesting just a flat gray for the entire, so none of the detail, the architectural detail will be.
To be,
you won't,
I-
oh, those little dentals, that's what we're talking
Yeah.
about. Are they, that's a good
with
point.
that.
Let's see, those are, yeah, some of them are damaged, or that one's damaged. I don't even know what they are. Are they really original?
And what is the top of the building painted like right now? 'Cause I know. it
It's just
has-
a brick red, it looks.
About
Oh, you
like
mean,
the-
oh, above?
Yeah, where the architectural detail at the top, what is that looking?
You mean up here?
now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't know, actually, I never thought to ask.
You're trying to do a street view.
yeah.
159.
Maybe
I
just like,
don't know if we have a, oh, you're going to look good. So I think oh, she was asking like.
Were you gonna remove those dentals? I'll
No.
call them dentals, for lack of a better word, or brackets. What are they? Do you know? Were they some kind of original decoration? Because some of them are damaged or missing. Oh, there it is. No, where is it?
Right, hang
Yep,
on.
no,
right
no,
there.
That's it there.
This is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it.
See, detail at the
Yeah.
top matches.
Oh, so that's a good point.
I think that painting it flat gray would be a real,
Especially only half of it.
yeah, I think it has to stay consistent
Right.
with the rest of the facade.
Do they own the entire building? Wait a minute, no, it's this, and then this stays the way it is.
Right.
Is this owned by the same owner?
no, different one.
Ah, well, that's a very good point, Catherine. It would end up now being bifurcated.
Yeah, I have the same issue with entry door.
Well, the entry door here, we approved.
Not that
No,
one.
no,
the
no,
new-
one,
the
the one
new-
over
Yeah,
there
that's-
for it.
Oh, you talking about that one?
No,
No, the one where it says for rent,
Oh, yeah,
and that
yeah, yeah.
says back, like
Yeah,
the other, you can't really see it because the grate's down. But if you look at the door on the right, which I didn't even realize was part of the whole building. Changing the whole facade and getting rid of the recess.
the one on the left-hand side is a lot deeper, but there is symmetry there that happens with the recess and just the rhythm of the windows.
No, it's a very good
Well-
point. I'm glad it got brought up. We'd be changing the basic appearance of the building if we gave you a different color, because now it reads as one bill. If you could zoom out so we could see the whole building
Which
again.
is,
It's one, it reads as one building, and yet if we do what you're proposing, it won't.
so we will maintain we'll propose to the client, we should discuss on that, we will maintain the white.
So basically repairing this and repainting it, that's two different people who have to undergo that expense. It's two
Yes.
different buildings.
Yes.
Huh, that's interesting. It's like
It
a
is.
condo.
It's very,
It's like a big condo. All right, so Catherine, that's a good point. So should we say, see, these are all monochromatic. They don't contrast. If you go down, they're contrasting. So I guess you could say the precedent was they were just part of the same color as the cornice, as the sign bandage is up at top. See, seems like it was more of a non-original intervention than if you go up to the top.
If you look between the right and the left storefronts, the storefront on the right has got that gray that matches the dentals, for lack of a better word, up at the pedestrian band.
Okay.
Then you got the light blue on the left-hand side, which changes, demarcating the different storefronts, but then the overall up top is white. So at some point it was painted. What the original color is, who knows?
Well, it was, up here 1858. I'm just saying, I'm assuming that this maybe is more original than down below at the sign band.
Quite possible.
Who knows?
Yeah, because then you also see if you look at the
or
little
easier.
finials at the bottom of the
Easier to
brackets, those
change,
are
I
a dark gray too.
Well, I don't think that's so critical for the applicant if it reverts back to the color that exists
No,
now. So the whole
and the
thing is-
gray, we can match,
Yes.
I mean, then the gray would be all,
Well, if we make the gray if we make it what we call the dentals, which are these square things, one of which is, they're not really dentals, but I don't know what else to
Yeah.
call them at the moment. If we did anything to make them all monochromatic, then this half would not be this half. So, I guess consistent with that, this would remain black and this color. Wasn't that part of, geez, we gotta look at the old application because this seems like deja vu all over again. I think we, as far as the color goes, I thought we had.
I don't think
addressed all of
we
that.
were
no, we
addressing the
never,
color.
yeah, we never.
Huh. All right, maybe that didn't get addressed. Well,
Yeah, but when we look at the building elevation, it's always been the one section, not realizing that it's.
yeah. No, it's a
Into the
good
building.
point you brought up. It's a very good point.
Gray.
Okay, well, it's
Yeah,
easy
it
to
looks like it's
resolve.
only a-
So then if this gets colored light gray, then all this stuff would be the same as well, I presume. If you go back to the existing view, yeah, everything is the same. This trim, that gray,
are those lights?
Well, this is
are the
blue.
lights still there and are they gonna remain?
these lights?
Yeah.
Oh, I assume, are they remaining? They're remaining, right?
Yeah, I don't think
I
we,
don't think, it didn't look like it. If
Did
go
you
back-
have on the facade?
Yeah.
Oh, are you taking them down?
no, I think there was an animation there. We're not touching those lights.
All right, so you make a note that the lights remain and get refurbished. And,
So just to recapitulate, so we are keeping the accent, the dentals dark. We keep in the background white to match next door and keeping it gray.
I mean, unless you can convince the next door neighbor if they wanna paint their facade too. But it's gonna look kind of weird.
I have kind of a similar question about the transom, the way that's dealt with, so like. The store next door, clearly like that whole storefront was replaced. And there's like a consistency to the windows and transoms there. And then to the left, so there's the same thing with that arch and keystone on every one of the window bays. And it goes back into that recess and is on the door in the recess, but JV, and what you propose, we just have a clear transom, which I don't know, I just,
Yeah, you kind of lose the rhythm.
I'm not sure I followed you, Michael. What would you change?
Well, you're saying that you got those three arches at the top.
Oh, yeah.
Right, left,
And what do you
right,
got
and left,
proposed again?
and now you,
Well, the arches are,
but the
There's no
door
arches.
loses it.
well,
I'm just not sure whether this board.
Or we
like-
can do
Can what?
without the,
Like,
It can
Is
do it,
it-
you're talking about it, it can say anything it wants and make any decision, so long as it's within our mandate.
Was our intent to try to keep some of the architectural integrity that was there, or?
Well, that's what we're supposed to do, and any changes that are necessary.
We have to also be careful because if we bring that out more, then next door they already have taken that detail out. If you go back to.
Next door,
The,
the salon?
Yeah,
Yeah, like the arches are all,
yeah.
Yeah, the arches.
or they were never there and they were
Never
added in
done.
on the left.
Who knows what was historic? For that reason, I guess the arch issue isn't so important to me anyways, because it's so different. And it exists now as an arch to tell you to take it out when, who knows whether it was original or not. But I think, in my own opinion, that's what Catherine said, look at it again as a whole building is very important. And the paint color, the paint scheme should match what's on the other side. With contrasting dental colors, keeping the lights. And hopefully, maybe when you go to paint the sign band, somebody will paint the entire cornice, the tablature up there. You're gonna do that? Is that in your, no one knows, is that it?
I don't know that we can actually,
So could you go back to the drawing? So the new door is flush with the windows,
Correct.
yes,
so
The
you're
recess is gone
you're
now.
gonna demolish that sort of corridor to the,
yes.
and those walls.
Oh, could you go to the plan? That's the best way to answer it, I think. There is a plan, right?
That's what I hear.
yeah, there's plans.
See, there you go. There's the existing, there's the new one.
Yeah, that's
It's
good.
got the
I
arch in the
wonder
back
if-
there.
I wonder if those windows are original, just based on how long
second
that
floor?
store was there and the second floor. And when the salon did updates and all that.
Well, it'd have to be researched, I imagine, and then it would still look different than. Well, go to the plan, that's why we're there, please. That'll answer every question about recess.
Yeah, so we are,
There you are. Yeah, is that existing versus proposed?
yeah, that's the red shows what we're demolishing. So right now,
Yeah, there's not gonna be a,
Yeah.
internal storefront system.
yes.
Right. And so that arch, is that arch right now above the door that's being demolished, or is it in line with the? street?
Yes.
So it's in line with the recess, so you're not gonna deal with it anyway. It's gonna be gone. And everything, as you can see, those double doors, that's not part of our purview. It's really what's on the street.
Yeah, it's everything on the left
I
side.
mean, it's quite a significant change to the architecture of that very old building.
I mean, we are keeping the,
So Catherine, would you say you'd wanna see a recess? Is
I
what you're
know that
saying?
you lose a tremendous amount of area to inside, so,
Well, of course, problematically, objectively, those storefront areas, the shop windows that they had a different tenant would presumably have no benefit for the new, it's gonna be a restaurant, this?
oh, yeah, I know
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Yeah,
From a
but I understand
functional
what you're saying.
I'm just thinking from architecturally,
Well, I think that, making the colors uniform to the neighborhood is a very good point.
that will help.
And, keeping the lights, which are not indicated, something that needs to be indicated. I feel we're ready to vote on it now, or we want to have more discussion on it? Is there anyone who has new comments about this? Wants to, have it revised or ready to vote on it now? I'll wait to hear a motion. We wait for a motion, right?
I mean, is there a spec for the door, the new door? It's just an aluminum door with black?
Yeah.
Is that what's in the salon, similar, something like that?
Yeah, like there's no kick plate on the side lights, I feel like there's a few little subtle changes that could make,
Well, I see your point. Yeah, there's no panel below the storefront. Can we go back to the full view of the building, Maddie, of the whole building?
The
The
street
picture,
view.
yeah, there you go. So it always has, that's a good point too.
But
It
if
always
you
has
zoom
a
in-
panel below the sill.
If you zoom in on the door next door, I think it has,
Next row left, next row right.
same.
The-
Here's our
on recess.
building that we're doing,
Yeah,
yeah, so you've got a kick plate
there's
there.
a kick.
There is no. We are keeping the same in the front and then the door,
When were you planning to open, by the way?
uh, tomorrow, yes.
Well, why, did you do all the work already?
No,
inside?
no, no,
Oh,
just.
all right. This is something else, and it's a long lead item to order the window. Well, anyway, so there, now if you move to the left of the building, Maddie, if you wouldn't mind, walk to the building in question. Yeah, so there are the panels under the sill that would now be taken out.
No, those remain.
No,
So
those,
those are you sure? I thought it was the windows coming.
They're there. it's just-
Oh, they are there. Okay, yeah.
He's talking about the side light, when we get rid of the recessed front.
Oh, yes,
entry,
that's right. Yeah.
we can-
then when that door moves forward, the side lights that are now gonna be on either side are now just full
Yep.
light, glass floor to
You have a
ceiling.
very modern door on the historic.
we can put a trimmer on the
I think
sunlight.
I have a feeling, if we had a new drawing, it would be easier to approve it based on the comments we had. 'Cause
Yeah.
if we write everything down now, I'm still not sure we catch it all, or we give you clear instruction.
I'd like to see photographs of the existing, not with, not just agree with photographs of the existing door. In, the door to the store.
Not through the metal grate.
Because I'm just
I tried to
curious,
stick
I've been in there, but I
with
certainly
the
don't remember if they have those details or if they had replaced that door in the seventies or something, who knows? Like, I
No,
don't
it looks
remember.
fairly original too.
It's
What's-
significantly deeper than the.
Yes,
it's
salon
like a
is.
longer-
It goes a lot
And I just
deeper.
wonder if it has any of that trim work, any of that original detail. Is
Yeah,
it
you can see
original?
that on the, up here on the side.
Yeah.
On this side going down, there's an arch going in towards back of the door. There's the door in the back, and I'm assuming it's all symmetrical.
Yeah, I went and my head in there the other day. That same detail goes all the way back.
Hmm. Hmm.
All right, so it sounds like we're gonna ask for a
Some more
drawing
details.
that illustrates the comments and the solutions we talked about. And I imagine, or I believe right now, we've decided, number one, the drawing should reflect the lights that stay. The drawing should reflect the color scheme that exists now on Shine Salon. It's close, I guess it's an old paint color, but I'm not sure. I mean, it's gonna be some difference, because you can't match it exactly, because that's the other thing. You can't match it exactly because that paint where Shine Salon is probably very old. And I'm not sure what color, we won't, what color are we asking for? You get a sample of the Shine Salon sign band background paint, and that's the color we paint your part. And I guess it'll be a little different,
I
but
think, yeah. I'm not
it won't be a
sure.
significant difference because the brackets are gonna break it up.
And I think another thing to add is to the drawing is you gotta show the building in its whole, in its context, not just that one.
Yeah, that's a very good point. At first glance, you forget that the whole thing is one building. That's why it was great Catherine mentioned that. And so are we saying that we would, I'm gathering comments right now, feedback. So one would be lights to be kept. Let's get this resolved. Two is paint
Mhm.
for that's the eastern section, eastern half of building. The other thing we said was that the store, we want a new study for the flush entry door to have transom panels that have a lower kick panel. Is that what we said?
Yeah.
So new entry. with kick, we'll just say
Say
kick
side
panel
lights to match adjacent with,
with new entry with kick panel on, actually on doors and side lights.
yeah.
On door and side lights. Or any other substantial change?
I would say provide details of doors and side lights at the,
Well, there's something. Didn't you do something, I think, Jamie?
well, I mean, in terms of the architectural drawings is show the details of how that's all going back together with, the trim and everything else on either side. You're replacing the windows, so see the detail of the new replacement,
Oh,
side, the windows on the side. Now they go into the frame.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Jason, but getting back to the door and side lights. You'll see the door as he's proposing it in black, which would now be, we're saying it'll all be gray, right? Everything will be gray, the way the KO, KD door is that what we're saying, or it's because?
No.
What are we saying
We're not
about the
saying.
color?
We're not saying anything about it.
Well, I guess we have to resolve this because,
I think we need a drawing that has, I mean, a spec of the door that's gonna be used.
yeah,
with
and
details.
Yeah, and a detail of that, where the new door joins the existing facade.
all right, certainly that has to be done anyways when you build it, so that's a good point. The door itself, though, whether it's black or green or purple, is essentially the same style as the KO, is that KO or KD?
KD.
KD door. It doesn't really have, any kind of a style and rail panel to it.
I think it was the side light was the issue, now there's so much the door, right?
Yeah, Michael, your point was the side light?
Yeah.
And, so the side light will have panels, but not the door. Kick panel, and I'm getting still back to the color. So if everything changes with the color, is that door black? Or is it gray like
Well, it
KD?
depends on
Yes.
how their color scheme's gonna go.
Yes.
Well, no, I'm saying it
He's
depends.
gonna have to come back, so I think it's up to the owner and the architect to sort of,
Well, no, I'm
Someone define
suggesting
it.
something else. We're here to make an approval and tell them what we think is appropriate. So is it okay to have a contrasting black door and side light that's flush with the facade, as opposed to keeping it consistent with the color we approved? Or actually the KD door, can you go back to the picture,
I think that's an existing wood door, right?
and yeah, so, all right, so basically, yeah. This thing gets back to the color. I thought we had approved a color scheme in your prior approval, and maybe what we have to do is just revisit that application and not reinvent the wheel. Whatever we approve, we have to stand by. And I believe we had color in there for everything. Is it?
We did,
Didn't we?
I think, I
I
think,
have my old, we have the old agendas here.
yeah,
Is there a way to quickly look that one up,
I
Maddie?
think if we're gonna. May,
Was it in May? I can show what was in the application packet. I don't have the certificate of appropriateness.
May 9th, here's May 9th.
I think,
Right, so here's the meeting agenda.
for May 9th,
Hold on a second. 11/2024. 59.
Right here.
there you
All right, so what did we have down that we approved? Is there a certificate of appropriateness? No, I
Well,
forget.
that's what I'm saying. I can show you what was in the application packet. I don't have ready access to the.
Yeah, so it looked like they were just moving everything forward. I think the color scheme was remaining.
go. The starlight,
Didn't we, what I'm saying is, do we have a C of A on that project? Is that in the-
What I'm saying is one exists. I can't access
Okay,
it here.
so certainly, if we have a C of A, certainly then the applicant has it. So I think, long story short is, obviously, we don't want it to look like two separate buildings. In other words, the other owner's building and your building at the street level, just because that's not the way it looks up above. There was a C of A that was issued. I don't think we're here to reinvent the wheel. Whatever we approved for you, we should stand by. So come back and with that C of A in mind, which I think did address colors. Let's see, how you merge the two. Take what was approved and merge with what you want to do now. I think that's
My
reasonable.
only, comment about matching the colors,
Yeah,
I think they can be similar colors, but it'd be hard to match an existing color we don't know, because then we're gonna be playing catch, because what happened,
oh, no,
If something-
you're talking about I think that's what I was saying, it's an old white color, gray
Yes.
color, I don't know what it is exactly, and it's a shame that the whole thing's not being done across the whole building. So I see your point, and that's something I was raising too. I think we addressed colors in the C of A. And, I never thought to look it up before tonight's meeting. And, I guess nobody else did either. So, I would say that's the best way to proceed, because, if we issued a C of A, whatever we did, that's what we did. And that's a guideline for, how to treat the rest of the building. Obviously, I think you're on notice, generally speaking, that we don't want it to be distinctively one half a building. And leave it to you to come back with us. Does that make sense? As the way to adjourn it, and along with details of the doors and the side lights. Is there anything else?
I'm just reading, these are the minutes from the April meeting where this property was discussed. Can everyone see that? I'm having Zoom issues here. First floor space, would be an eating establishment, Picado, one sign identifying Picado, second circular sign be affixed to the building. Which members asked how the sign at the front entrance would be backlighted, how far out the letters would protrude. He would have requested information from the May meeting. Questions were also asked about the front door to the establishment, single V 2 doors, and about the doors finish. Samples would be available at the May meeting, agreed to adjourn. So maybe you don't have a certificate of
Yeah, it may
appropriateness.
not. I thought we actually issued something.
Because I don't see it in the minutes from the May meeting that this was closed out.
Yeah, because I think I kind of recall we wanted to see some of
I
the
think-
details of all that.
yes.
All right, so I was wrong about a C of A, so. There we have it. We're just catching up on some unresolved issues that never came back again.
Yeah, because now looking at it with, fresh eyes and looking at it from a whole, looking at it from street view, you're like, oh, wait a minute, because I remember Picado, because I thought we were just looking at the sign, I think I
I
recall.
think that the sign became a big part of our discussion.
Yeah, it's-
Yeah, so the K and D element got approved, but this element kind of was left open.
That's, okay,
Yeah.
yes.
But if we approved it, there would have been a C of A for that.
For the KD
Yeah.
side, which I think was in like December, right? I mean, that
So
was.
there was a C of A issue, because
yeah, because when he came back.
the
to this
KD is
meeting,
there on the wall right now. It was
He had brought up
installed.
the fact that the KD sign was backlit and forgot to talk about that at the meeting.
So I remember all of that,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty confident that after a couple runs, the K and D elements all eventually got approved, and you should have a C of A for that. Unfortunately, Stuart's not here, and he might be helpful in this instance.
Well, the
but,
signs up,
um,
so.
Yeah.
No, I know that, this,
But I don't
yes,
think it's backlit.
No, it's.
No.
well, it's unplugged.
I think that was the solution.
Yeah,
All right, so
Okay,
the applicant can get the C of A, obviously. And
we'll be in touch about.
we'll incorporate that, but just to recap, I think it sounds like the consensus is that the drawing will reflect the existing lights to be kept and I would hope maybe refurbished if they're not in good shape, or repainted. The paint, we say paint per eastern half of building. So maybe then that is something that we never really did address
No,
before. And now the question is, do we go back to what the applicant now shows, which is a contrasting color in the sign band and in the storefronts, or do we try to, match as best as possible everything? And as I was saying before, and I think we know, you put a new coat of paint, even if it gets close to that existing color on the right, it's not going to be exact.
no, I know. I mean, you're also then you have years of, grime and.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That was kicked on, and I appreciate that fact, but, when I was here, when I did my house 10+ years ago, I remember the original chair had basically said, I did a very simple elevations and plans and whatnot, and I got chastised for it to say, you need to show a lot of the detail that's on the existing building, which I think some of the existing drawings presented thus far are missing, which would provide a lot more helpful information as far as the drawing goes, it's for us to weigh in on, the color and the paint scheme that's happening.
Well, I hope
I
the
think the
applicant
challenge, I
can-
think the challenge
Go
of the
ahead.
building here it's actually, it's one larger area, but it's. we don't-
I agree, because
we don't
when
have
it first came
control over-
through, I just remember, I was like, oh yeah, it's that, and then when we looked at it, I'm like, oh, wait, it's the whole, it's a double wide, not just a single storefront, like the 1867 building.
You know,
It sort of
basically,
stands alone.
yeah, to the point is, it really would have been a better, I mean, it'd be easier to talk about it right now if, of course, the entire building were drawn.
Yes.
And we saw the contrast on paper between the proposed and the right that's existing. I mean, you
Because
know,
we don't
that's a
have,
little
we
unfortunate.
don't have the,
Yeah, because I mean, when you look at this here and you look at the photos, I mean, there's a lot more detail going on here than if you go up, scroll up a
I
bit.
think that one of
It's,
the,
it's missing a lot of the details, so it's, you're not seeing that it continues this way too. There's a lot more character in the building that's not expressed in the drawing that you see in the photo, and we're sort of kind of,
I think one of the people, of it, I think at one point we did discuss repeating the element to kind of separate the two buildings.
Could you go back to existing street view, please,
Yeah.
Maddie? I'm sorry to have to keep it. So you would actually want to take over more than half with your new color.
the other thing, I think you show on your drawing, you have this detail here in the middle. I don't think it exists, does it?
No, I think that at one point we were trying to kind of separate and
Okay.
that element.
But basically, if we followed your drawing exactly, the new gray color would be including this, right? So now you'd have more than half of the, even if we wanted to bifurcate the building, it doesn't really work very well because this gives you more than half. You know, it just doesn't, can you go back to your proposed elevation? I think you were gonna paint that, right? Yeah, you're gonna
Yeah.
paint that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really work to bifurcate it, to split it in half. I hope the applicant can understand that. It looked very strange. So we have to come up with something else.
Yeah,
I
I
hate to
think,
say it might be, look at it as a whole and
Yes.
with the eye towards, this is, the tenant sign, and I get that. But
you need a drawing of the whole building, then with the existing color scheme on the, the neighbor side that we can't touch. And that band across the front, the architectural detail and the lights and all that contrast, that trim work, that all has to be maintained.
Yeah.
How it is, and I mean, in my opinion, if it's painted, it has to be a light color, like a white, and that contrast that exists now has to be maintained.
So we have to give, in fairness, the applicant a direction where the sign band where the Culturis is now, that would be approximately as best you can match to the existing right side of the building. Is that what we're saying? And the, everything else painted would match the color scheme on the right side too. Because there's no way to really make it half and
Yeah.
half. Is that the
Yeah,
direction we're giving? So the dark
correct, yeah,
gray,
because the rest of that is painted, as you see here. You've got dark trim on either side of the brackets on here, continues all the way down and across. I mean, it's my opinion might be worth a conversation with the people next door to say, hey, we're redoing our side over here. Would you guys be amenable or opposed or whatever to refurbish or paint? I don't want to make more work and spend more money, but it might be helpful for your case in terms of trying to get an overall.
all right,
From experience, every time we try to do that, it kind of.
all right, well.
It puts them all angry.
Remember that the next time they come to us. They weren't very cooperative. All right,
I think that before we can even make any decision on anything, there has to be a drawing of the whole building
Oh,
with
yeah.
all the detail. And then if the paint colors that you suggested aren't white and gray, but maybe they're something else, but that contrast is maintained so that the detail still pops. I don't know, maybe that wouldn't look terrible,
Yeah.
but it's really hard to think about it when the drawing is so inaccurate for the facade. Like it doesn't have these lights and then like that, it looks like it's a, that one detail on the side, it looks like it's the end of the building.
Standalone building, yeah.
So that would be, I think, super helpful. And then I think that could be a quick conversation once all that's there.
yeah. We could actually, are we offering them the opportunity to give us an option, which is one, the sign ban is painted as approximately as it can. be.
I think we're focusing too much on the sign ban. I think it just,
Well, no,
it
it's
needs.
Well, if I may finish. One option would be that the color that exists on the right half of the building, Jason, I mean, whether it's the sign band or the panels below the sill, the style rail panels, or the vertical trim that exists, that's maintained on the left side of the building. That would be, I would imagine, a default decision. And then to Catherine's point, if there's another way of doing it, you could present it.
Yeah.
And that possibly, if we see it with the other building next to it, the other half, then maybe we'll be swayed. I don't know if we've ever done that before, but I could see why not, right?
I mean, if it looks, yeah, it depends on how.
Because we want to get this, we certainly want the applicant to be able to come back in the most efficient way possible, so we
Yeah.
don't have to come back again. And maybe, somebody can persuade the other guy to, paint his half too, but that's another matter, of course. All right, so does that clarify it? So we're gonna ask for the lights to be kept on the facade and refurbished if necessary. The paint for the eastern half of the building as the default proposition, if you want to call it that. And then there is an option for contrasting color, something new. But if we see it with the rest of the building, we can make a decision with you. And then the new entry will have kick panels on the side lights, and there'll be details of the door. Was there anything else we'd like them to do? I think that covers it, but if somebody, and yeah, I said the details. So if you got that, Manny, and did you get that? All right. So then we should adjourn this to the, do we vote for that? To
A
adjourn?
motion to adjourn to the November meeting, I think would be.
Unfortunately.
Do I hear a motion to adjourn this to the November meeting?
Make motion?
It's Jason?
Yes, and second?
For a second.
All right, so
Right.
motion is passed, so we're gonna adjourn it, and I'm sure it'll get resolved next month.
Okay,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
And I guess, have a good evening, thank you.
Yeah.
And I look forward to going there, by the way. What kind of, this, what's it gonna be serving?
Fusion, like a mix of,
Like,
yeah, like a American and Spanish food.
oh, okay, good, great. All right, Steve, I guess we've been able to make it, so we're not gonna be able to hear about, his research. And the only other thing I'd like to just bring up is you may have already seen an email, we got plenty of time to talk about this, from, Joyce Cole, who it is our village historian. She was a member of HPC, and she would like to make a presentation to us for her efforts to try to create a historic Black district in Ossining. We have a great deal of lineage in this community for that, historical evidence of it. So I'd like to put it on the agenda for November. I could tell her she could. We don't know how many, we got one application at least in November, this one. And hopefully that one took a half hour, probably take a half an hour. And then, Steve's, if we don't have enough time for Steve's historic research in November meeting, we can always, if Steve was flexible, we can always talk about it in December. So ideally, then the agenda would be this application plus any others that would come up. I could invite Joyce to make a presentation to us and see what she has in mind beyond what you may have already read, or you can read in the email I copied you. And if there's time remaining, of course, then we can listen to Steve, if that's okay.
Sounds good.
All right, and with all of that, I hear a motion to adjourn, I think, unless there's some other information or topics to bring up. All right, well, I want to hear a motion to adjourn. You want to hear a motion to adjourn?
Make motion to adjourn.
Do you want a second?
Second.
Okay.
Jason and Michael.
It's second adjourned, and then I get started. All right.
Good night.
Thank you.
A general question.